Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the Technical Trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Saturday morning, January the 27th. This is the weekend webinar. Another eventful week for the markets as we broke out of key resistance levels and are trending upward in the channels. Now, I don't know how far they can take this, but the long-term channel, going back a year and a half, shows multiple waves up. This is the fifth wave, apparently, which may extend towards 5,000 before it's over. Any drop, though, underneath, in my opinion, 47.85. 4,800 could send this market down towards 47 or less. I can't tell yet. Internal trend line is still viable. Let's take a look at the NDX. Friday, the S&P was down a bit, and so was the NDX. So they backed up a little towards the internal trend line. Top of the channel targets now 17.8 and 18.1. Strong trend in place. I'll show you some of the Nasdaq 100 generals a little later. Transportation index, which trailing, popped out and it's consolidating. Any move above 16,175 could get you to 16.7. Currently, you can see that the moving average has crossed over a run up. They've tested it. This is a 1-2. Wave 3 may be starting. If we can get through that, I'm looking at 16.7, as I said. Small caps perked up a little bit. Oops. You can see that after a big uptrend and a falling wedge, they broke out, but they have not broken through resistance. 198.5 gets it done. Target is then about 205. Just have to keep an eye on key support now, 187.5 range. Break below that, and there's a big problem with small caps. Let's take a look at some of the oscillators and underlying technicals. The McClellan oscillators moved up from minus 187 to plus 65, finishing up plus 18 on Friday, right around neutral. Not overbought. That's because of the advanced declines in up-down volume just aren't keeping pace, and it's a thinner market. Let's put it this way: although the leadership isn't bad, it's still thin in terms of the amount of stocks leading and participating. Only 55% of stocks are now above their 40-day moving average. So again, a narrower type market. And you can see at one point just a week ago, this was down at 30, about 3 out of 8 stocks. Now it's about 55%. So it's improved, but it's still pretty narrow. Looking at the components of the Nasdaq 100 and the leaders in the market, Apple took a little bit of a hit for 3 days now. If you're reaching 196.38, 4 points off the high, and it's right on support here. Be interesting to see what that does next week. Amazon, on the other hand, made a new multi-year high near 160.75, and finishing near the top of the channel. Lateral price resistance exists just under 170. Current support is about 150, and then 143. Google, new all-time highs nominally. Also, the internal trend line tagged the top of that channel. There might be some resistance here. You can see that if Google should get through this level, it may spike into the 170.75 zone. That would be something. Microsoft also hit a new all-time high on Thursday, backed off a little Friday, but still in a beautiful rising channel. With a target for me now up about 1820. Dynamite chart, good looking leadership. How about Netflix? Last couple days after the earnings report, spectacular breakaway gap, a run through the top of the channel, and new all-time highs at just under 580. Strong Momo there. Meta as well. New all-time high in Meta as it reaches up towards near 400, 397-ish. Great chart near the top of the channel though. Trend line support, moving average support. Down here in that 355.65 range. NVDA. Video also made a new high on Wednesday at 628 before backing off a little. Initial support 585, and we're looking at 545. A little bit longer in the tooth and overextended, but after a multi-month consolidation, the breakout very welcome by Wall Street. The thorn in the side of the NDX is Tesla. It's come down from 265 to 180, losing 85 points just in the last 5-6 weeks. It did break down, but a breakaway gap underneath support, and there is some secondary support here, but it might reach as low as 150-60 zone. So be careful with this one. And that's definitely a pressure on the NDX. So let's look at some of the Nasdaq 100 generals. The major indices we follow, the SMH, broke out to new all-time highs, reaching 190, almost 196 before backing off on Friday. Friday taking a 2% hit. The semiconductors finally got some profit taken after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave advance. If it backs and fills without too much damage, we might see momentum take this as high as 215. Hard to say yet. Key support though, 177. Financials, quite strong as well. Broke out, extended last week. I have a target around 90, currently 88.60. Stepping back and reviewing the angle. Appears that the sky's the limit for this thing and financials get going. But there is some resistance from way back here in February of last year when we hit 92. So 92 is your target and your resistance. And the biotechs have a troubling pattern for me. After a long run up that saw it go from 64 all the way up to 94, it came down and bounced. This is a bearish type flag. I don't know whether that's a left shoulder, head, right shoulder or not. Now, you know that head and shoulders are not head and shoulders until the neckline's broken. So this would have to take out 86 before I get too negative on biotechs. Perhaps the new trend line is there. We'll just have to see what they want to do early next week, but be cognizant of support at 86. Resistance now 92.5 and 94.25. Extension targets might be as high as 98. Now, what is gold up to? I'm not impressed. Gold looks pretty sloppy. The GDX, the GLD looks better, of course, but all of them are beneath support. So I'd be really careful with that, as well as silver. I just don't think gold and silver are ready yet. We'll see. Silver is right at the declining tops on moving average where resistance lies. Okay, that's AGQ. And that's LV, not much better. So I see no reason to be in gold and silver yet, technically. We'll see if they break out or not. Something over 21.5 on the SLV might be a breakout right through there. I would wait for that. Okay, well, in the oil sector, we've had a reversal with the UXO breakout. Look through the moving averages, declining tops line, lateral price resistance. There is a double top on USO at 74. Watch for that to break out. If we do, you may see 78.5. So that's intriguing. UCO looks the same. Natural gas has been under pressure. KOLD exploded in the last 3 weeks from 64 to 110, 111. There's some resistance there. And there's some support, I would say 89.90. If we get a blowout past 117, we could see natural gas plummet and the KOLD spike into the 130.40 zone. So that covers the ETFs that I like to keep an eye on for you. And we got a lot of stocks to cover, so let's go to them. Starting alphabetically, ACLX, been in a beautiful uptrend. Broke out of an ascending bull coil on Thursday, followed through with a big pop on Friday. My target now, 75.6. ADMA, a little junior biotech, a beautiful uptrend was interrupted with a pullback in the August-October period, only to pop, platform, and break out. The longer-term targets are 6 3/4, 7, and 8.5, 9. AFRM, back trader swing, beautiful rising pattern that took it from 15 to 52. And then the last 6 weeks or so has been consolidating above the moving averages. And if you can get out over, it would have to get out back over at 48 to get her going. 52 and 62 are targets. ALAR, a little junior software stock, broke out of its base here, accelerated to target at 12, pulled back. Now has a coil of sorts forming. We can break out of that. We're looking at 18. ALPN, Alpine Immune Sciences in the biotech sector, breaks out of a big base here, consolidates and pops sharply last week. Thursday, Friday were big days as it went from about 18.5 to 25 just in the last 2 days. So careful, maybe short term overbought and near resistance, but longer term, low and high 30s targets. ALT exploded in November, December, taking it from 2.25 to 13, and then the current pullback, which is orderly, and it's forming some sort of wedge. Key support now, 8.5. Retesting 13 would be a target, secondary target 16. That's the tech trader swing. ALXO breaks out of a base with a breakaway gap, forms a coil, starting to break out of it. And you move above 16, probably get you 1920. AMD's been phenomenal just since November low when it was trading at 94. It's almost doubled to 185-ish, almost an exact double. And you can see it's at the top of the channel on the fifth wave. So a lot of semiconductors have done that, leading the market. But I think with the pullback on Friday, maybe the beginning of something deeper than that. Support 163 and 154. AMSC broke out Thursday and followed through Friday. American Superconductor has some resistance at the spike high at 17, your next target. ANF's been in a phenomenal uptrend since May of last year, from 22 to 105.81, a five-fold increase. And yet there's no sign of a deterioration in this one technically. So next target at 115. APEI in the educational group breaks out of a base and just keeps ramping. Extension targets would be somewhere up around 13. ARDX in the biotech sector, beautiful base, breakout flag, explosive move wedge, targeting 12 next, 11 and 12. ARQT tech trader swing, ran up, pulled back orderly, and now is ramped up. Resistance around 6.5, your next target. Atamera, put it out on Friday. I like the longer term. After a long-term run-up, you remember we made some money with this one then as a tech trader swing. And since then, you can see it's in a inverse head and shoulder pattern with maybe a breakout late Friday. It's now 8. The targets are 9.25 and 11. AUTL broke out in November, had a falling wedge here. That's a 1, 2, 3, and a 4 for another current falling wedge. You need to hold it right here, but another move up, retest the high at 7.5, and then maybe goes to 10. AXGN spikes off the low in November and ramps up in a rising channel. Currently, a nominal new high here over the last 7 or 8 months, but my target remains around 10.5, and then 13. BFRG, monster move with a breakaway gap, running gap, perhaps an exhaustion gap, but right now it's consolidating, and I don't know if this is done yet. It did back off of the 8.5, 3/4 range, 8.35. Your support's about 5.5. Near-term support 6.25. If it ramps up further, 10.5, 3/4 is the next target. Biotech Biohaven had a slow rising channel from the big drop a couple years ago, and now it's worked all the way back up into the 40s. An eventual target 55 and 65. BLBD. I spotted this coming out of an inverse head and shoulders there, and then a retest, and a pop and flag, and then another pop. After 5 waves up, it took some time to consolidate. Now, it popped again and wedged, and now it would be coming out. There's a double top up here. If it gets 228.9, you might see 32.35. BRBR, wonderful rising channel. This food company's gone from 20 to 56. The target is 64.5. BRZE in a software group broke out, retested, and popped. I like this for an extension to 62 and 66. CAMT has been in a phenomenal rising channel since it broke out of the base in June when it was trading around 30. It subsequently went to 80, 82.96 to be exact, and backed off a little bit. The longer term channel tells me this might be a $100 stock. CAPT exploded after the IPO and then formed a coil, broke out of that and flagged, and then popped again. It's forming a new rising channel. Can't tell you how far it goes, but 6 and 7 might be targets. CBAY, tech traded swing, broke out back in December of 22 at around 4. It's subsequently gone up 5-fold, reaching as high as 25 and change, almost 6-fold. There is resistance up there, but the extension target is 27. CCJ in the uranium group, after a pop to the channel top, it pulled back in a falling wedge. It looks ready for more, 53 target. CDIO exploded, wedged, pulled back, forming a rising channel now at a falling wedge. If it pops, 4 3/4 target. That could be doubled. CECO, beautiful rising channel as well. Popped and flagged, popped and now coiling. If it does extend, my target is 24. Cognite, nice rising pattern overall. There's the pop, the pullback, and the pop again. Targets are 7 and 8. CLBT, that's Cellbrite, rising channel. 5th wave underway. It's a 1, 2, 3. I think 4 and 5 are coming. We're looking for 11. CLS, tech stock breakout here. Rising channel there. Extension target 36. Collegium, new all-time highs with a target now of 38. Koya, broke out of the base, platformed, and then backed off to retest the breakout point. It's forming a little wedge in here. Not sure if it's bearish or not. This has to get back above 6.5 with energy, and then we're looking at 7 3/4, 8, and perhaps 10. That's where I think it does go. CRBP on Friday had a spectacular day. We day traded it from the high single digits into the high 30s. It closed at 28.22, up 234% on 38 million shares. Now, could that be the beginning of a bigger move? Well, I wouldn't be shocked to see it make it into the 50s and 60s. CRDO, breakout and a little pullback. I think that's a buying opportunity, entry opportunity. I'm looking for a move into the mid-20s and then high 20s at least. CRNT exploded in December from a low of 183 to a high of 288 for more than a point, and then pulled back and wedged. I think it goes again, this time to 290, 3 1/4, and 4. CRNX popped, platformed, broke out, and it's still running. My target, 41. Carvana, triple top in this area, pulled back, tried to break out. It really has to get above 50 with energy to extend its pattern. I'd be careful on anything underneath 40. CYTK exploded on positive drug news and then ramped up to 113 before pulling back. It's now flagging. Can't tell what this is going to do. There might be a takeover there. DBRG, Digital Bridge, broke out of a beautiful multi-month coil, and I believe is now trending towards 23. Dell, tech trader swing back in September around 66, has made it into the mid-80s. My target now 92 and 100. DraftKings, long-term swing, has broke out in May of last year and kept running from the low 20s to the $40 range. 40.50 was a high on Friday, targeting 44 and 50. The RCT breaking out of the base, exploded, pulled back, popped again and pulled back. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the 5th wave, if it comes, should lead towards the low 20s, 22.3 range. Maybe a double. DRS, a nice aerospace stock, a beautiful trend, currently coiling. If it does break out, I can see this making the mid-20s. DSP breaks a base, pulls back and tests, and then works its way higher. This is a software stock that has designs, I think, on a move towards 11. DWAC exploded, pulled back sharply, did a fib retracement and bounced. I don't trust this one, but and stop under 30. Targets are 45, 55, and above. EDU in the education group, stellar chart. We break out above 84. I would look for 92.3. EOLS breaks out of a big 2-year base and now has pulled back and a retest. I like to look at this one. Probably a good swing to 14. EWTX breaks out of a base from the 3-wave corrective falling flag, breakaway gap, and now running. My targets are 19 and 23. EYPT exploded and pulled back. We put a swing on it. It's gone from 18 to 27, about a 5% pop. My targets are 28, 32, and 38. FAST, beautiful rising channel, accelerating to the top of the channel. Now has a shot and moving into the mid-70s. Flex, beautiful rising channel as well, currently wedging. My target 26. FRO, beautiful rising channel. This whole group is strong. I'm now looking for a move that takes us into the high 20s. Nice chart and good setup. FTI, another strong trend from the mid-single digits into the low 20s, and now coiling. It may have broken out Friday, targeting 23 and 27. Fusion breaks out of a base pattern. This is biotech stock, popped and coiled and then broke out. Based on the angle, I'll target 13.5. GCT popped out, put a swing on it. It continues to go. After platforming and holding support near 18, here it is 25. My target is 30 and 35. GEO swing we put on when it broke out in October in the $8 range has made it up to 12 or almost. Yeah, 12.28 at the target. Next target is 14. GNK in the shipping group, base breakout, retest, and now channeling up. My target is 19.5. GHTX exploded, pulled back hard from the new rising channel, but it may really accelerate. 5 and 6 are targets. GitLab broke out of a base, coiled and popped. Made it to the target around 70. Next target, 78.80. IDYA been a beautiful rising channel for a year now, and it's gone from 13 to 42. My target is mid-50s. IMNM ramped up, then consolidated for several months and broke out. It's really run hard recently from under 7 to nearly 18. And you can see this is a new multi-year high, but I think the stock has more legs into low and mid-20s. IMVT has been a stellar since it was basically gone from 3 to mid-40s. Huge move. And yet, even though the pullback for a couple of weeks is apparent, if it manages to hold it around there, my targets would be mid-40s and low 50s. INBX is ramping. It consolidated for 6 weeks. It broke out Friday, targeting 47. INOD, inverse head and shoulder breakout and pullback, probably should be a swing. I forgot to put this out Friday. I like it as a swing. The targets at 13 and 15. INVA breaks out of a base and ramps up and now consolidating in this zone. Any further upside, probably looking at 18.5 and 20.5. IVVD breaks out of a base, spikes, and now it's channeling up. My target is 5 3/4. KD breaks out of a base with a breakaway gap and ramps up. Channel top target now 23 3/4. LBPH with a pop and pullback, put a swing on it. I still think at some point it makes it into the mid-30s. Long-term chart, LMB, Lombok is a phenomenal rising channel. Pull back to support. Needs to break out above 46.5. We do that, that's your first target, and then we're looking at low 50s. LTRX, Tech Trader swing, broke out here, coiled, pop, now wedging, targeting 8. In the coal sector, METC, pop, coil, pop, flag, pop, then a 3-wave corrective pullback, ramped up, wedging, target high 20s. MGNX broke out and wedged, and we've been ramping ever since. Extension target 15 and then 18. MOD has been in a beautiful rising channel for a year and a half. I can see that continuing, but there is some support underneath around 58. Target is 74. MOR popped on Friday, maybe takeover from what I'm hearing. Target mid-teens. MREO, beautiful biotech, and ramped up, coiled, broke out, wedge, and popped again. Stock is near its resistance and top of the channel. Short-term overbought. Extension could be 6. NKTX exploded in December, January from under 2 to over 11 and now pulled back. There's support around 7. Targets are 11 and 15. NRDS spiked up end of October and continued to channel with a 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave underway, extension to 1718. NRG, beautiful rising channel out of a base and then a platform. Technically, it broke out through here. It kept running. Long term, you can see it's new all-time highs. Now I'm looking for around into the high 50s. NTNX, one of my favorites this year, broke out here and again there. Ramped up and eventually got up to 57 and change. My target is 64. NVO, long-term rising channel for this beautiful large pharma, taking it from 48 to 109 with a target now of 120. NYXH, look at this move. How about 4 to 10 in a week and a half, 150%. Now it is at some resistance here, so I'm expecting a pullback consolidation, but eventually this might move into the low teens. ORIC ramping up and then pulling back. This is a tech trader swing. It's retesting. It may be an entry up. My target's 13.5 and 17. Oscar finally broke back out and it's flagged and then going again. I like this one for a move into 17 and 22. Puma, long-term base, broke out and pulled back, but the rising channel tells me we're going to 6.5 and 8. Packard, beautiful long-term rising channel from 52 to 102 with a target now of 120.25. First target would be 112. BCBX also ramping near its all-time high. New all-time highs up here. Wouldn't be shocked to see this thing make it into the 70s. PHVS, pop, coil, pop, flag, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave has a 1, 2. So I'm looking for 3, 4, and 5 to get this into the low to mid 40s. Impinge breaks out and wedges. We put a swing on it. It's gone from the high 50s to 105, doubled basically. And yet I think it has more to go. I'm looking for a retest of the 116.17 zone. Ramp, definitely, that's exactly what it's doing. It's been ramping since it hit a low in the mid-teens and then went to the low 40s. It's nearly tripled, but it's got beautiful technical patterns, currently in a wedge, targeting 44.46 zone. Rev Group, pop, coil, breakout, retest, pop out, forming a rising channel with a target of 22. RNA, tech trader swing, broke out, retested, flagged, popped, falling wedge, and key breakout Friday. I'm looking for 14. Rum, big pop and a pullback for 3 days. Maybe Friday was a reversal. Keep an eye on this one, especially if it gets over 6 3/4, 7. Then I'm looking for 8.5 and 10. RBSN, also a powerful move underway. Can't tell you how far it goes at this point, but I will tell you what the projected possibilities are. Somewhere in the 15 and 19 ranges. That is a very powerful chart. RXST, sneaky, but it's moved from the 10 to the almost 48 range. Yep, 48.77 was the high last week. The way I look at this, I think it would head into the 50s. Rhythm, base, breakout, coil, pop, run, and now a wedge. My target now is mid-50s. Sarah, exploded, pulled back from the coil. May have broken out Friday. Keep an eye on this. Anything above 8, 7.5, could get this into the 9-10 zone. SGHT, inverse head and shoulders, but more importantly, it broke out. It's flagging. It's at the trend line. It's near support. It needs to hold here. My targets are 5 3/4, 7, and 9. Shopify, long-term, beautiful rising channel, and now in a pattern that shows an ascending bull coil of sorts or a wedge. If it breaks out, you might see mid-90s, even low 100s. Sketches in a beautiful long-term channel. Now in new multi-year highs. Make that all-time highs. I can see the stock making 70 and 75. SLDB, low-price biotech, ramping up and now flagging with targets at 11 and 14. SLMO, tech traded swing, popped and pulled back from the long coil or flag, and now it's run from 21 to 48, almost 49, and I still think it has mid to high 50s in it. SMCI, monster of the midway, has gone from the mid 30s into 476 just in the last year and a half. But more importantly, after 6 months of consolidation, it popped out. 6, 7, and 800, all possibilities in the next few weeks and months should the market hold together. Snap, long base, breakout, and a beautiful flag in here. My target, 20. SNO, another long base, breakout, little pullback, maybe an entry up. Looking for 235 and 250. SSNT explodes, wedges, pops, and now pull back right to support. If this is a wave 4 wedge here, and it pops, it could, no telling where it can go. Low 20s, even high 20s and low 30s, a possibility. STIM, beautiful rising channel underway. Extension target is 490. STNE, breakaway move, rising channel. This South American software stock looks higher. Key resistance, 1885. Extension target, 22. STNG in the shipping group, Scorpio tankers, new all-time highs and ramping. I can see 75 and 80. STTK, breakaway move, and a rising channel. My extension target is 14. SWTX, breakaway move, wedge, rising channel, extension target 50. SYRS breaks out of a base, retests, and then spikes. Currently coiling. I'm looking for a move to 10. TAL, the educational stock from China, pulled back and bounced. If it breaks out of here, 15, 16 zone is your target. Here's an unusual one, TLSI, from 13 nearly down to 3 and change, exploded into the 993 area and then coil. Look at that coil. I think if it breaks out, you're going to see 12 and a half, 3/4 again. That's my target. TMDX, love this chart. Breakaway gap and a big one, and then a wedge, rising channel, 98 and 110.12 are my targets. TXT, finally breaking out. If you remember back in August when it popped and coiled and then tried to pop, I put a swing on it. It didn't work. It just kept consolidating. Months later, it finally broke out. My target, 100. Uber, been in a beautiful channel since I first gave it to you at 28. It's now made it to the mid-60s, and my target is 69.70. UEC, a junior uranium stock, looks to me like mid-channel target is about 9, upper channel target about 11, 11.5. UIS, tech traded swing when it broke out here, just kept ramping. Love this action. It's doubled, more than doubled. Made it up to 777. My current target is 8.25 and 9.5. UTI, educational stock base, breakout platform, pop, and a beautiful rising channel. Now, and I believe all-time highs. No, not quite. My target, and there is resistance here at 15, would be 19. Vera, dynamite, explosive move Thursday, Friday. Can't tell you how far it goes, but it has real solid underpinnings. Perhaps we retest a high there in the 36 range early next week. VIRC, pop, wedge, and another leg could take it into the 16, 17 zone. Vista, and the oil and gas group is as powerful as you can get. I got a target now in the low 40s. Viking Therapeutics, tech traded swing, popped, flag, pop is flagging again. Looking for a retest of this area at 25 and a half, and then looking for 29.30. Veronis, accelerated here, now flagging. Your next target is around 50. VRRM, also in a beautiful rising channel. Looks to me like a target maybe mid-20s, and this one maybe 26. VRT in the technology sector broke out of a base here with a gap and just kept running. For me, I can see 60. VST, another beautiful rising channel. This in the utility sector looks like could ramp, and if so, 47 is a target. VTEX, another popped out of a flag and is ramping. There's some resistance just ahead, around 8.5. We get through that, your target's 10. Vizio popped up through the declining top sign and it's formed a wedge. Friday was significant as it went from 7 to 782 and closed there. If we get up through 808 on early next week, I'm looking for 9 and 10.5. WRAP, peg trader swing continues to push. Now looking for 495 and 596. Zim in the shipping group with a 1, 2, 3, 4. I think another wave is coming. Looking for high teens. And finally, Zixi with a 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm hearing they're going private at around 14 or 15. Right now, the stock's been ramping, and it looks like it could see the 13, 14 zone sometime down the road in the near term. Let's take a quick look at some boxer shorts and finish up today. I haven't had this list expanded just yet, folks, but I'll be doing some work on it. AEHR, I warned you when this stock would have this rising wedge in the $30 range, it was going to get hammered. I didn't think we'd go all the way to 16 that quickly, but it did. Now my target's down around 13. ASAN, questionable, hasn't broken just yet. Keep your eye on this one for a break under 17, which could send it down towards 13. AVAV hasn't broken yet either, but it might be a setup. It looks like a bearish consolidation, in my opinion. Targets are 113, 105, 9,900. CHX, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a short opportunity for a move down towards what I think is 25, 24, 25 zone down here. CMT broke down from the rising bear wedge and pulled back. Hasn't really broken this yet. Overall, it might be a large bear coil. See it? Should that crack, this thing could be a $12 stock. Cocoa is a new head and shoulders breakaway to move to the downside and a new tech trader swing short. Friday was a bearish engulfing day, finishing at the low near 20. I can see the stock at 15 near term. CQP, careful, it's in a stronger oil group now, so we may break to the upside. Your stop would be over 55. Should it come down, 48 and 44 would be targets. FLYW, rising wedge, broke down, and now it's kind of trying to bottom in this area. As long as it remains below the trend line, though, possibilities are that we see this down in the 17, 18 zone. Fox Factory is a tech trader swing short. It's acting weak in here. If it craps out, it may fall hard. It's 64 now. I got targets around 54.5 and then high 40s. INMD, coiling, consolidating, not sure what to make of this one just yet. It did break this declining tops line, although it may be drawn wrong. Let's just consider this. Your declining tops line. Should it fail here and roll over, we have targets at 18 and 14. Jill, tech trader swing short because of the breakdown in the bear flag, broke from 27 down to 23.34. Friday was a bearish engulfing day. I'm still looking for lower levels in the 22 zone, maybe as low as 19. LNTH, just a horror show right now, broke here, rallied back to resistance, failed hard, broke again. It's a 1, 2, 3, that's 4, 5 underway. May have already achieved its goal by reaching 50 from 78 recently. And finally, NTES. I'm taking it off my list because it's a bit too strong, but it remained on my chart, so we just mentioned it to you. Let's just see if it's able to get above the next resistance level, and that's a big one, around 109. But if it fails here, we could roll over. Bottom line is I still have more research to do on the short side, and I'll be doing that the rest of the weekend. For now, this is HB out. Have a great rest of your weekend, and make sure you review this a couple times. There's a lot of information here that you can use for next week. I trust you will be educated and prepared. This is HB signing off. Have a great rest of your week, as I said.